Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. And I hope you guys are enjoying my quarantine look for grooming, right? My hair hasn't been cut in such a long time. It's actually drooping quite a bit, so it looks silly. My beard, I haven't shaved it in quite a while. I do trim up the top right here on the mustache, but you know, the actual beard, I'm letting it grow out a bit. But we're not here to talk about quarantine looks, because I'm sure everyone has one, right? We're here to talk about a particular TV show. And that would be of the DC Universe original Titans, Season 1 and Season 2. Now, I posted up a poll back on my Twitter, so you could have gone over to my Twitter and did a vote, and I put up the options of reviewing Titans, Season 1 and 2, Harley Quinn, the Picard TV show, or Birds of Prey, the fabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, although that couldn't fit on the poll. And you guys resoundingly wanted the Titans review, which is fine with me because that's the one I wanted too. So, you know, great minds think alike, right? And Titans has been out for about 2 seasons now, right? They were setting up for the 3rd season. I don't know if it's in production or if they even started anything with it yet. But we've had 2 full seasons of Titans. And I, like a lot of people, started watching the Titans when it came out every single week. I didn't binge watch it like maybe some of you have or might go on doing. No, I did it every single week. And of all the stuff that was coming out of the DC Universe app, this original show was probably the one I was most excited for. Does it mean it's the best? Who knows? But it's definitely one I was most excited for. Why? Because I love the Titans, or the Teen Titans, whatever you want to call them, right? There's so many different iterations. I stand by the fact that the Marv Wolfman, George Perez new Teen Titans run is the blueprint of what a perfect comic should be. That run was magnificent. And if ever I go back and I read it, I just get overwhelmed with joy, happiness, and just overall, it's what a comic book run should be. So, going into this TV show, obviously I had high hopes, but like with many things, I'm a little bit of a cynic, so I thought it was also going to fail too. I mean, that's just how we are, right? We go into any movie or television show, especially based off a property that we have so much love and joy for, it's hard for us not to be a little bit pessimistic about it a little bit. But hey, what can you do? That's just how we are. We're comic book fans. We tend to always look at the glass half empty rather than glass half full. Although I like to think I'm a little bit more optimistic than most people, right? Yeah? Well, what we're going to do with the review is this, I'm not going to cover every single detail of the 2 seasons because that would be too long. I'm instead going to talk about the individual seasons, overarching, right? Then I'm going to talk about the characters. I'm going to talk about the villains briefly. I'll talk about the comparison between the 2, and ultimately, is the show worth watching, right? Is it worse, as good, or better than the CW shows? I almost said the CDW. CDW. Wow, that's a enterprise term. Collision damage waiver. Ooh. I mean, I got laid off, but the stuff's still in my head, so you must forgive me. But before we start the review, right, as what I said before in other videos, if you want to, please check out my Patreon down below. I'm currently without work, so any little bit of coin that you could throw, much appreciated. I really do. I'm going to rework my Patreon so it actually makes sense. Right now it's kind of a jumbled mess, but I am planning on reworking it. In addition to that, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links for all of them should be down below. Maybe not the TikTok because that's relatively new, but it's at AndrewCutter, so pretty easy to find. With that said, let's talk about Titans. There's so much to talk about with this show. Not only is there a lot to talk about this show, let's just say one thing. This is a rated R TV show. Yeah, they got that R rating, so you know there's going to be some F-bombs, some gratuitous violence, and some over-the-top sex scenes. Or gratuitous sex scenes and over-the-top violence. Or both. Whatever. So, basically, Season 1 story arc follows Raven as kind of the MacGuffin / focal point of the first season. And it really focuses on Raven, Dick Grayson, who is at this time Robin, Beast Boy. It's so hard not calling him changing, but Beast Boy, and Starfire. Those are the 4 foundation characters. Other Titans come in, right? We see Donna Troy, we see Hawk and Dove, but it's mainly those characters that are the titular characters, right? And the basic overarching story is that of reviving Trigon, right? If you don't know who Trigon is, spoiler, I might as well tell you, Trigon is an interdimensional alien/demon, I think, right? Trigon's had a lot of different hats. What we do know that he is magic-based and extra-dimensional based. He's a cosmic level threat, and basically he goes around and conquers worlds. But he can't conquer our world because, well, Raven isn't working for him. See, Raven is the key to him entering into our world. And without her, well, he's stuck in his own little dimension. It's a great allegory for the devil and hell and trying to get the devil back on Earth and so on and so forth. I mean, literally, Trigon has horns. So, Season 1 is basically the Titans following this story arc. Basically, them trying to keep Raven safe or prevent Trigon from getting a hold of her, and eventually it cultivates with them confronting him. Although Season 1 ends off on a cliffhanger, it does not wrap up the season, because the Episode 1 of Season 2 is where Trigon's story arc gets wrapped up. And it will lead into the Season 2 story arc, which is basically Deathstroke. Deathstroke's story about the past he has with the Titans, why the Titans broke up, the sins that some of the Titans have, mainly Dick Grayson, or at least what he believes is his sin, and ultimately confronting and dealing with Deathstroke. That's the overview of the first 2 seasons, story-wise. I don't want to give too much away, because it's something that you should watch if it is something you're going to watch. There are a few twists and turns that are nice and enjoyable. Now, let's talk about the characters, because that is really where the bread and butter, the meat and bone of this TV show is. Because that's what the Titans is. The comic itself is a fantastic comic, but a lot about it is family and team coming together, right? The Justice League are colleagues, the Titans are family. So, let's talk about those characters. And in doing this talk about the characters, I don't know all the actors' names, or I don't remember them all by heart. I should, because I follow a good chunk of them on Instagram, but I don't remember them all by heart. So, I'm not actually going to say any of the actors' names, even if I know them, because I don't want to look like a fool and accidentally saying Henry Cavill is Beast Boy, which would be kind of cool. A little weird, but kind of cool. But anyways, I don't want to screw up the names. So, let's get things started. First and foremost is our boy, Dick Grayson, who is de facto the star of the show. Because everything kind of revolves around Dick Grayson for both the first 2 story arcs. He's the lead of the Titans, and he's really kind of the main introduction to all the other characters, right? And what I will say is this is one of the best and most physically accurate and also tonal accurate of Dick Grayson in a live action sense, right? The actor who plays Dick Grayson looks like him, both as Robin and, spoiler, when he becomes Nightwing. And the costumes that they get, oh, they're so sexy. They're so fucking spot on. Now, granted, Dick is a little bit more angsty in this show. He's a little bit darker. This is after he splits up with Batman, and because of the split and also the past with Deathstroke, he has some issues. So you got to understand that this isn't quip-throwing, fun-loving Dick Grayson, at least not right away. Towards the end of Season 2, he finally comes to his moment of clarity, his epiphany, his big character hump he has to get over to become the actual Dick Grayson that we all know and love. So I have to say, I have nothing but good things to say about Dick Grayson. If there was any criticism that I would say is that watching this from a week-to-week basis and having to wait so long for Dick to fully realize as a character can be a little tedious, but in binging it and kind of going through it, in one sitting or multiple, bulk sittings, the character dynamic and story arc is actually really fantastic. So, Dick Grayson is a check in the positive mark category, kind of, for me. Next is Raven, and this is another one that I thought they did very well. The actress that portrays her, for being such a young actress, too, I believe she's a teenager. She's an actual teenager playing a teenager. She does a really good job with the actress, with the role, right? Displaying the different range of emotions, also having that reserve, like, you know, lonerness that Raven has, and not just that, but she meshes really well with a lot of the characters. If I had any critique towards Raven, it is the same kind of critique I would give to Raven in general, is that her powers are very ill-defined, even more so in the TV show. Raven is an empath, and her powers tend to fluctuate and change throughout the continuity of DC. She has stuff like flight and telepathy and minor telekinesis. She also has her soul self, which she can sling on people. But she also has various different powers that come in and out of the storytelling. It's not always clearly defined what Raven's powers are, the limits to her powers, and exactly how they all work. There's a bit of explanation, but not much. Same thing with the TV show. The only power that you really see is somewhat an equivalent of her soul self, and a healing ability, or at least the ability for her to heal others, which also comes from the comics. But I would have liked to have a little bit more of a definition, or her to understand it more, because when Raven shows up in the comics, she has a decent grasp on it. But this is a different Raven, and her story is a little different. Let's talk about Beast Boy. Beast Boy is unfortunately one of the most more underwhelming characters. Season 1, they really didn't do much with him. He had one episode where he kind of shined, but after that, Season 1, he was just kind of a background character. The actor does a pretty good job with them. I do like the CGI used for the transformation, although I would like it with a little bit more variety than just a tiger. But in saying that, he does pick up in Season 2, and the character gets a little bit more to work with Superboy and Cadmus and all the stuff that goes in between there. I do want to see more from him in the future, but unfortunately he's just not as prolific of a character as others. Starfire! This is a completely new interpretation of Starfire in one way, and same old Starfire in another. Another was a lot of controversy with Starfire because the actress is black, and Starfire is what? She's alien. She's actually has orange skin, so she doesn't really define to any ethnicity, whether it be Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, black, anything, right? So I think the fact that a lot of people got upset that she's black didn't really make sense to me, because again, they're not going to CGI her being orange the whole entire time. So hey, whatever. The race does not matter to me because the character is an alien, so you can interpret it however you want. It's kind of like John Jones. Sometimes John Jones' default human form is a white Caucasian man, and sometimes is a black man. It doesn't matter when it's an alien. So, in saying that, right, putting all the controversy aside, I really like Starfire's character. I thought the memory loss stuff in the beginning was pretty fun. I thought that the character on a whole had a big mother hen-like feel to her, especially with Raven. And I'm getting a text message now, so I shouldn't look at this, but you never know what this could be about. She has a protective nature towards Raven. She has a clear defined power set, although she doesn't have all the powers that she normally would have, right? She doesn't have flight. We don't see as much of her super strength, but we do see her star bolts. We do see her combat training, so that's there too. This is the thing about Starfire that kind of mixes me up a bit, that I didn't really latch onto. Starfire is a really complex and unique character in the DC universe. Putting her sexuality aside, because she is I want to say, a very sexual character, no doubt about that, but it's not in a slutty kind of way. It is that she just has the freedom of love. She's kind of like a hippie, right? Groovy, man. Let's just peace and love and make love with everyone. Not to that extent, right? But while the Starfire is a character who has an incredible emotional maturity and very bombastic with how she displays her emotions. When Starfire loves something, she loves it with all her heart. When she hates something, she is furious and vengeful. When she's sad, she weeps and mourns with, well, the best of them, I guess. But the thing is with Starfire in the TV show, she doesn't have an overly I don't know how to say. She's not overly cutesy and joyful and bombastic about her happiness, right? She's got that little sly, sexy femme fatale look, which is good, but I would like to see a little bit more Starfire be playful. Other than that, I thought the actress did a good job with the character, and she was fun through and through. Now time to hit on some of the secondary characters, and we're going to run through these a little quicker, because while they are part of the main cast, they are still secondary characters. Jason Todd as Robin. I like this Jason Todd. He's a shithead, and I love it. He does a good job at being misunderstood and a good job at being a shithead, and I appreciate that. I am looking forward to, however, when he does die, I do hope his death happens and it weighs on Dick Grayson. Make a little twist on it, have Dick Grayson feel like he's responsible for Jason Todd's death, so that when the actor returns as Red Hood, is Nightwing versus Red Hood. That's what I want. But I did enjoy Jason Todd, right? And then we'll talk about Superboy. Superboy is another character that I felt was underutilized, and, well, it didn't feel like Superboy. Superboy felt like the angle that they were going for is this guy was just created. He has no knowledge of the world. He's socially inept. He has no way of handling things correctly, so he just goes around and he does stupid stuff. But to me, Superboy is kind of a frat boy with a heart, for lack of a better term. And I kind of wanted to see that from the character, and I didn't get that. Donna Troy. Much like Dick Grayson, this is one of the most accurate Donna Troy, not only in physical image, not only in costume-wise, but character-wise. They nailed Donna Troy so hard, and I was so happy about that. As you guys all know, Donna Troy is in my top 10 favorite heroes. She's had a tumultuous relationship with continuity. That's her greatest villain, is continuity. Constantly getting revamped, rebooted, retconned. But, on a whole, Donna Troy was handled perfectly here. And then we'll move into Ravager. Ravager was good and serviceable, although I don't feel as though we've seen enough of her yet. We see bits and pieces here and there. You know she's going to be a double agent. Spoiler. And then the ending with her brother, with Deathstroke, was a great conclusion for the character, but I do want to see more a little bit later. It should be interesting, especially how they left off with her. Hawk and Dove, I'm going to talk about them together because they are some of the two best characters in the TV shows. Even though they're just secondary characters that show up every third episode, they are fantastic. The journey of these characters are great, and what I'm going to talk about in a bit is the best episode of the whole entire series, in my opinion, was the origin story of Hawk and Dove. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Aqualad shows up, but only in flashbacks, and he seems cool. We don't get enough about Tempest, Garth, Aqualad, but he does show up, so, yeah. If more happens, more happens. Bruce Wayne. We get Bruce Wayne, but not Batman, although we get a silhouette of Batman. I thought, although the actor who also played Jorah from Game of Thrones, and also Dr. Marcus from Resident Evil, among many other things, probably several better movies. He plays Bruce Wayne, and although he doesn't look Bruce Wayne to me, right? He does a really good job at embodying Bruce Wayne. He's an older Bruce Wayne. He's in his late 40s to 50s, but the fight scenes that they have with him are good. The way he presents himself is very good, and I think they did a very good job with the character dynamic between Bruce and Dick, so I did like that. Villains! There's several villains that show up in this, but really the three that stand out to me are Trigon, Dr. Light, and Deathstroke. I will talk about them in ascending order of how I like them. Ready, set, go. Dr. Light. Dr. Light was fun and interesting, yet this is a completely different take on Dr. Light. He's more of a thug and a brute than anything, and that's all he's going to get from me. He's a thug and a brute, and unfortunately one of the more, I don't know, antagonist recurring villains of the Titans. They turned into just a henchman. Trigon. Trigon is also a fun character. I think in Season 2 they got the Trigon look down pretty good. Season 1 he shows up as a human. Season 2 he shows up in his demon form. The problem with Trigon is they only gave him really 2 episodes of face time, and it wasn't enough. He's like Lord Voldemort. He's scarier when you're not seeing him and everyone's talking about him, but when he actually shows up, he wasn't much he didn't get enough time. Although I have to say the actor that did portray him did do a very serviceable job. Deathstroke. This was a big one. And you guys know how much I love me my Deathstroke. This is probably by far the best interpretation of a live-action Deathstroke, beating out Arrow's interpretation. No character did they nail as well in this TV show, with maybe the exception of Donna Troy and Dick Grayson, than as Deathstroke. this is fantastic. From the look, the feel, the character, the story. Best villain, and he made season 2. As for the seasons themselves, season 1 and season 2's strengths and weaknesses are the opposites of each other. For example, season 1's overall story arc, which was good, the season itself was very weak. But the individual episodes were incredibly strong. Like I said, that Hawk and Dove episodes. When you look at them in the macro sense, really good stuff. When you look at it in the big picture, macro is big, micro is small, sorry. When you look at the big picture, the season as a whole is the weaker of the 2 seasons. Season 2, strong season through and through with this story arc. Although, because it's such a strong season through and through with this story arc, it gives little room for it to tell good individual stories. There are a few stories here and there which I do enjoy, but they are not quite as much as season 1. And that's the basic gist of the show, right? I gave you a quick run through, right? So is Titans show a good show? And if so, or if not, is it worth watching? I know. Why would you watch it if it's not good? I watch a lot of stuff that's not good. What I would say is about this is Titans is an incredibly ambitious show. Its greatest fault is it feels as though it needs to be more ambitious than it has to be. But in saying that, it's a show that has learned from its previous mistakes. And it has such a great cast of characters. I'll tell you this. Put the stories aside. If you remove the stories, the characters alone support the show. From the actors, what they bring to the table, the evolution of the characters, to the look, the design, the casting. These are great actors, great choices, and a great casting. And I love them all through and through. Even the ones that aren't quite as strong, I feel as though do a good job. So, in saying that, it's a great series just for the characters themselves. Is it a perfect series? No. I mean, like I said, there's pacing problems. There's definitely tonal problems. Because they have the R rating, it feels like they have to drop the F-bomb. It feels like they have to be gratuitous in the violence. You don't have to. Like, I say fuck all the time. Well, I say it, but I don't say it all the time. Like, I don't think people say fuck as much as people think they do. At least I don't think TV shows think they do. But whatever, right? At the end of the day, though, I think Titus is definitely a better show to watch as a binge than as an individual episode. Watching it week to week is fun, but it can be absolutely... It feels like a drag because of the pacing of the show. But watching it as one product, season to season, is really beneficial to it. If I had to give the show a rating, I give it a B+. It does a lot of things right, a couple things wrong, but it's only getting better. Season 1 was a bit of a hiccup, especially the last episode, which sucked. And then Season 2 learned from its mistakes and made a better product. Season 2, as you could probably tell, is my favorite of the 2 seasons. I think the evolution of Dick Grayson was fantastic there. I think a lot of characters got a lot of moments in development. Beast Boy got a little bit more out of that, a little bit more with Jason Todd as Robin. Of course, Deathstroke as the main villain is always a plus for me. Yeah, B+ Titans, worth checking out. It, along with many other things, is a reason why you should get the DC Universe app. It's a good app. If you like reading comics, if you like watching TV shows or movies, it's a good app to have. It's really for a hardcore DC fan, though, but for hardcore DC fans, it's made for, so I recommend checking it out. I will be posting another poll on Twitter tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, let's go with tomorrow. About what my next video will be, and it will be themed based, right? This theme that I did for this last poll was about media outside of comic books, like movies and television shows. Next Twitter poll I put up will be about another theme, but you're just going to have to wait and see what that is. Thank you everyone for your support. Check me out on social media. Hit me up on Patreon. And as always, this is Andrew saying peace out for now.